I'm Catherine. This is my video podcast where I like to share my making adventures with a variety of crafty things. I have a lot of a variety to share with you today. There's knitting, crochet, sewing, big projects, small projects, and yeah, it's been about 3 weeks since my last podcast, and so I'm really excited to show you all of the things that I've been doing. I live in the rural Midwest with my husband and our 3 daughters, and today is Saturday, April 12th, 2025. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as My Making Adventure. All right, today I'm wearing this lovely flannel. My notes are down there. Sorry if I have to arrange them. I just have a lot of things to share with you. The baby will be taking her nap shortly, but right now she's awake and she can't get the book off the shelf that she wants. Yeah, so this flannel I recently thrifted for my husband, and I've worn it more than he has. So that's what I'm wearing today. All right, finished objects. I have, I think, 4 finished objects to share with you today. The first thing is these stripey socks. I made these for, she's worn them, my second daughter, who is 3. Let's see, this is scraps of Knit Pick Stroll fingering that I had on hand, and I used a US 1 needle and cast on 36 stitches for her. I think that I posted these in the Wyoming Knit Scrappy Knit along with the second finished object I'll show you here in a minute. I had been thinking, oh, I did do these opposite, so it's of 5 rounds of purple, 3 rounds of black, 5 rounds of purple, 3 rounds of black, and then this one is 5 rounds of black, 3 rounds of purple, 5 rounds of black, 3 rounds of purple, and then the cuff, heel, and toe all match, but this one's in purple and this one's in black. So they're fraternal socks. So yes, I've been thinking for a while that my sock gauge was too loose, just based on some other things that I had been, like other things that other people have been sharing about their socks. So I decided to try, this was US 1, which is a 2.25 millimeter needle. I decided to try a US 0, which meant getting a new needle. What a good excuse. And so I got a size 0, which is a 2 millimeter needle. The old needle is an Addy Rocket, which is like a square-ish needle. And the new one I got Chowgu. Oh, baby. Oh, what's the matter? Are you getting sleepy? Yeah. So with my new needle, I cast on socks for the baby. This is another pair of Scrappy socks. I cast on 32 stitches on the US 0 for her, and I used up pretty much all my scraps of Knit Picks Felici and the colorway Lisa. These have also been worn. Yeah, so this was a quick and fun little one for baby. You can find links to the Ravelry project pages down below in the description box. I include more details on my Ravelry page if you want to know like more than just how many stitches I did for my vanilla socks. And guest star. Come here. Come here. Come here. Say hi. Say hi. The next finished object that I have is this lovely crochet blanket behind me. I've been working on this for somewhere between 5 and 10 years, which means that I've mostly not been working on it, but recently decided to finish it up due to the pushing of Erica and Daphne at Rose Opal Knits. This year they hosted a, oh, what's it called? Finish It 9 make along at the beginning of the year. So I had, I think 5 is what I thought I had, but I think I actually only had 4 projects that were ongoing into the new year. And this was the biggest one and the last one that I've finished. So delay, but I finally got it done. This used up the last of the acrylic yarn that I had. And now it gets to sit on the couch. So I'm glad to have that done. I'm not in love with it, but it's done. And it's definitely a scrappy blanket. I did like a basic chevron double crochet chevron blanket where you do like 3 double crochet in the middle to make the peak and you skip 2 in the valley to make, yeah, the chevron. And my final finished object, then I'll go lay her down and come and finish, is a sewing finished object. I finished my project bag that I had been working on. My green quilty project bag. Yeah, spin it around, let everybody see it. So this used just like variety of green fabric that I had on hand. The inside is a lighter colored fabric with some flowers. It's all, like I didn't purchase anything. These dinosaurs are from the sheets my daughter picked out for her bed, and the sheets come in a little bag, so I like cut up the bag that the sheets were in for that. These 2 fabrics are from my Hinterland dress. My mom got me this fabric. I don't know what I've done with this. I made a project bag with this. This is just some plain fabric I probably either took from my mom's fabric scraps or from the library sale. This was a curtain and this was also a curtain. So it has its interface, it has a huge box bottom. I can fit my whole yarn bowl in it. I'm so excited. Oh, I'm so excited to have such a big lovely one. It doesn't close, but I did go fancy and add in a clip on the inside. So I did not want a zipper or drawstrings at all. Ooh. Yeah. So those are my finished objects. We'll be right back to share whips. I will be right back to share whips in just a minute. In just a minute. Should I share my whips in a minute? Huh? Should I? Should I? Okay. She's sleeping. So yes, this is my giant project bag that I've been working on for a long time. I finally just decided to get it done. And I'm really excited and proud of it. Oops, I think this is the front because I put a cute little straight pin that I got from Texas Peach Knits when I won a prize for the Fluff Your Stash make along last summer. So yay! Yeah, and I didn't follow a pattern specifically at all. I have made a lot of bags, so I tried to go off of what I knew. And it's holding my first work in progress. And that is my Market Henley, which is patterned by Claire Jackson, or Perfectly Knotted on Instagram. I got it as part of her free pattern day. I think it was in January, and I'm having so much fun with it. I am knitting it out of hand-dyed yarn. It's a very pretty color. Probably more like fall, wintry, but I don't care. I don't mind working on it now. My husband and I dyed this, so I'm loving it so much. Here's fun. I made a little yarn cozy when I turned my daughter's jeans into shorts. She had these purple pants. They had holes in the knees. I cut them off, and then I was like, this feels like they're a little bit of stretchy. This feels like the perfect width for a cake of yarn. So I just like folded the bottom up and popped my yarn cake in there, and then I can tell them apart. And I would like them both in one, but since I want to be able to tell them apart also. But yes, this is in that bag. This whole yarn bowl fits in there with my yarn. I did, last time we went to Walmart, pick out some buttons for the project. They're just simple. They were like 99-cent buttons, but now I should have everything to finish it. I'm so excited. I have done the collar and the sleeves almost all the way, not quite. I'll tell you about that here in a second. It's on tubing everywhere and there's yarn everywhere. It has just been blocked. So here it is, the collar is done. I think these sleeves are done. My one concern is that where I picked up stitches on one of the sleeves was a little bit tight, and I was worried that it was going to sort of like puff or balloon when I wear it. And since it's a drop shoulder, I don't really want it to like puff up right there. So I think it's this one. I blocked it after I finished both the sleeves, and I'm hoping that will resolve the issue. This is for my cats. I don't know if you can see that stitch popping up. My cat, what do they call it? Made biscuits. She clawed on it when it was laying flat to dry. And there's a few places where there's a few more here, where she sort of like pulled the stitches out, and I'm gonna have to like go back and pull them straight. You know, get the tension right through all the neighboring stitches. I'm really grumpy about that. Learned my lesson. I will walk the cats out of the room while it is drying. So yeah, I will then have to do the tubular bind off on the sleeves if they're good to go. Otherwise, I'm worried I'm gonna have to rip one out and re-pick up stitches. And then I think I might just try to pick up fewer stitches, but then I should probably go back and pick up the other sleeve with fewer stitches too. So, I don't know, or maybe I'll just try again. So this, I have a lot of length on the body. I used up one skein of yarn, and then I went and I picked up the collar and the sleeves, and I just used, I didn't alternate skeins for those parts, but I will go back to alternating skeins. I think I need another 5 inches plus an inch of ribbing before I finish the body. I have a long torso. I don't like to show my stomach at all. So there's still quite a bit of knitting here, but it's getting so close. When I was knitting on the body, I was able to knit maybe like an inch a day. So, and this is good weather to wear it. I have woven in the ends around the collar, but not around the sleeves because I haven't bound the sleeves off, and I don't like picking up stitches when there's extra ends woven in, because sometimes that adds like, so I'll weave in the ends if I'm sure the sleeves are good to go. And there's probably like 10 or 15 ends between the two sleeves. So yeah, then I'll just have a couple ends from the bottom as I finish. I have like, because I did everything while one ball of yarn is still attached to the bottom, I have like a lot of extra yarn that pulled out. But I'm excited about that. This, I knit down a needle size. I think the recommended needle size is a US 5 or 3.75 millimeter. And I'm using a US 4 or 3.5 millimeter for the main pattern of the Market Henley. And then I'm using the US 3 or 3.25 is all that I went down one size for the ribbing. I don't remember the difference. I did not want to use 2s for the ribbing, so I didn't. But I think in general the ribbing looks nice and is holding up together well. So yeah, that's my Market Henley. Another project that I have been working on recently is another Micah satchel. This is a pattern by Hannah Graham. It's like a little, she makes it for her son and her nephew. So she calls it a satchel, but we call them purses in my house because I have little girls. So it's a little purse pattern, and I'm using Yarn Bee Bambootiful in their pink color. I always have trouble, this is the third one I've made, getting the flap to lay kind of flat and not bunching with the I-cord bind off. But it wasn't actually the I-cord that made it, it was my bind off. Before I even picked up stitches to do the I-cord, it was already kind of doing this. So the other 2 times I made it, I added a buttonhole, which is, there's a part in the pattern to do that, but I never added a button. So this time I was like, no buttonhole. This is leftover yarn. I made myself an Ayasta summer top in it, and then I made my daughter a petite souffle in it, and so now this is like the 3rd project with this yarn. I am using US 5s for this project. It's kind of, because it's bamboo cotton yarn, it like doesn't have fluff or plump or air. It doesn't hold air as much. So I like a 5 for this DK yarn more than a 6. And I just have to knit the strap, which is an I-cord, and then like weave in ends. So I started this on Friday, and today is Saturday, a week ago, Friday. So yeah, I don't want to tuck that in and I still am gonna have like a good amount of yarn, plus a swatch I could rip out, plus a tiny bit of yarn, and whatever is left over from this for the I-cord. Or maybe the I-cord will use all of that plus some. I don't really know. I know that I will gift this to someone, but I don't know for sure who I'm giving it to yet. Probably a little girl from church, but maybe like my little sister. So yeah. I just thought that the cotton bamboo yarn would be like nice and sturdy, and a little pretty pink purse would be fun for a little girl. And I didn't know what else I was going to do with the yarn, and it was a pattern I had, so it's one of those like, this is a knitting project, and I knew like when you're knitting the body of the purse, I knew that'd be good bedtime knitting, and I needed good bedtime knitting. So, but now I just have more focused knitting. The I-cord I can probably do at bedtime, but obviously weaving in ends and stuff, not so much. So yeah, that's what kind of led me to cast this on, was having some bedtime knitting with yarn I already had on hand. Another work in progress that I also cast on last Friday. We had some driving that day, so I cast on a couple projects, are these socks. These are vanilla socks in Wonderland Yarns Mad Hatter, which is a sport weight superwash merino. I received this yarn as a prize from Amy of Noble Character Crafts last year for the Make 9 Make 1. It was a 5 color mini set, and I made a hot water bottle cover out of it. And so I was like, what can I do? What can I do? Well, I have some Patton's Croy that I can use for the heels and toes. So I thought, oh, it would be fun to make socks. I haven't made sport weight socks, but Stephanie of Edible Thoughts Makes had put out a video about like all the different types of yarn and needles and gauges she likes for socks. So I guess that kind of motivated me. And I had figured out what I liked for fingering weight, this US 0. So I decided to try a US 2 for these, and I think I cast on 56 stitches, 28 on each needle. I don't know if this is going to be a tight enough gauge, or if I'm going to love sport weight socks, or if I'm even going to have like the right amounts of yarn to do it the way I want. So, but it is what it is. And I'm doing 10 row stripes, and each stripe, well, I only weighed one so far. This dark gray stripe took 3 grams of yarn. So if that's the case, I have a plan. And based off of that, I'm hoping that this light gray cuff took 5 grams, because I only have a little over 5 grams of this color left. So I'm going to do the other cuff this color. I said I was going to do heels and toes with the Patons Croy, and then just stripe in these 4. I will probably knit this one until I'm ready to start the heel, and then put it on tubing and knit the second one to the same spot, so that I can try to get them like as coordinating as possible with the yarn that I have. And that way, if I think I don't have enough yarn to like knit the whole foot, I would probably like make them shorter. So that's where we're at. It is kind of like, once you get a new color on, you can go for 10 rounds like bedtime knitting, but since I'm changing colors, it's not as good at bedtime knitting. I can do the market Henley at bedtime on the body. So although I will tell you, the pattern is like a knit purl pattern, but then 2 rows are plain stockinette, and it's never the extra. I never do an extra row of plain stockinette. I always like accidentally do an extra row of the pattern, and then I have to like tink back to fix it. I did it once on the sleeve, and so then like the whole next round I was like fixing my stitches as I was like knitting around. It kind of is easy. Well, when I go from like the body to the sleeve, it's like, how am I already ready for the stockinette part again? But comes quickly. Those socks, I'm counting for my Make 9 Make Along. I put to knit a pair of socks on there, and I think I'm going to count these. I will also, though, be casting on my Frankie Felici socks in May, because Lisa from Knit All the Yarn podcast is doing Knit All the Stripes / Knit Your Lisa Felici yarn make along, and I already knit my Lisa Felici yarn, so I'm going to knit my Frankie along with her. So maybe I'll count those socks instead, but that means I have to finish these. I don't really though, because they take 2 different needles, because Felici is fingering. I would like to not have multiple pairs of socks on the needles at a time, but I really probably don't mind at this point. Okay, the last work in progress that I'm really excited to share with you is a sewing work in progress. I decided that I wanted to try to make my girls' dresses for Easter, and now we're down to the wire. I have like a week left. I didn't get the fabric until last week though, so I feel like I made pretty good progress in the time that I've had. I picked up fabric when we did our driving day, and we went to the city, and I got to go to Hobby Lobby, and I picked up some stretchy fabric, some like knit fabric, and this is my progress on one of them so far. I picked out 2 different colors for their skirts, but both of them have like a bodice out of this rainbow fabric. And I just traced dresses they had onto paper bags to make little pattern pieces. My husband was going grocery shopping. I was like, ask for paper bags. Normally we use plastic sacks just because when we go to markets and people purchase from us, we like to be able to reuse the sacks for that. But we also, when we have enough plastic sacks, we use our reusable sacks. So anyway, I got this fabric and then I picked out yarn to go with, or thread to go with it, yarn. And I felt pretty comfortable putting the bodice and the skirt together. I'm gonna try to add pockets, which I've done for myself a couple times, but I have like a pocket pattern piece for an adult pocket, but not a kid pocket, but I'll probably just like make it smaller. So yeah, the other one is not this far. So this is the one I'm farthest on. I did just today add the neck, and there's like, oh, it's not perfect. Okay, the fabric bunched up on me, so there's like a little fold over there. In many places, where's it gonna show the most? You can see my stitching. I didn't like quite stitch close enough to the edge for my top stitching. It's like kind of flaring up a little bit, but I am immensely proud of this because, like I said, I'm figuring it out as I go. I'm planning to attach like a front skirt piece and the back skirt piece and then like sew up the side seams all at once, and then hem the cuffs, hem the sleeves, and hem the bottom of the dress, because I want like a little bit of a gathered skirt, and it's easier to do that like half and half. In my head, that feels easiest right now. So that's where I'm at. I think this one will have a blue skirt and the other one will have a green skirt. I had thought it'd be super cute to like do like a little cuff on each sleeve in the other color. So like a blue skirt and green cuffs on the sleeves and a green, I even thought a green neckband. But I decided I wasn't up for all that because I didn't know enough about what I was doing. So yeah, I'm hoping to get the other bodice like this far along later tonight. And then maybe I can cut out the skirt and pocket pieces tomorrow. It's the weekend and I don't have to work, so I might have more time for that. All right, those are my works in progress. I'm gonna have a drink of water, and then I still have lots of other things to show you because I've been spending money. Adjust my notes. More water. All right. Like I mentioned, we went to Hobby Lobby and I bought some, I love this cotton yarn. I felt like I wanted my dishcloths to be faster, so I decided to try a larger gauge. The dishcloths I've made before are fingering weight yarn, and I really love those, and I'm fairly confident I'm not going to like these as much. However, I needed to try it. So that's what I'm doing. I finished one purple one and I'm knitting a second purple one. I'm doing this on a US 8, which is 5 millimeters. Of course, these are, yep, 5 millimeter needles. These are my hat needles, 16-inch circulars, which is like a little too small for the dishcloth, but I can make it work. I can get 2 and some out of purple, and then I think I should be able to get, this one has less yardage, so I'm still hoping I can get 2 out of it and 2 out of this. And then I plan to put the scraps together in a jelly roll blanket style, but still make it a dishcloth. Eunice from Therapy by Craft has been sharing a lot about her crazy dishcloth ideas, and she made a mitered square dishcloth, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna try that. But then I decided I'm actually more eager to try the jelly roll blanket pattern to see if I can figure it out. And so I think I'm gonna do that in like a dishcloth style with my scraps. So that's why I show you all 3 colors. I don't make project pages for my dishcloths. This is just like grandma's favorite dishcloth, modified for no holes and doing extra rounds in the middle, so it's like a little bit more even. So this is easy knitting, but because there's always like increases and decreases, I prefer not to do that at bedtime. So it's like car, church, reading, knitting, or when I don't have, it's not a priority. It's like when I don't have other easy knitting to do and I want something to knit on. Kind of similar to the socks. And then I ordered yarn from Wool & Company so that I would be able to cast on a few new projects. So I'm here to show you the yarn, and hopefully soon I'll have some projects to show you. I already had this yarn in stash. I don't remember the color name. It's discontinued. I got it on sale, but it's Cascade 220 non-superwash, 100% Peruvian Highland wool. It says it's color 8229. I have 4 skeins of this. I had originally bought it thinking I would make a toasted tee out of it because it was the right yardage for that. But then I got it and I was like, I don't want a short sleeve t-shirt in this yarn, which is fine. So I got some contrasting colors to go with it. This is all the same base, Cascade 220 non-superwash. Here's one of them. I'm really excited. If you hate these colors together, don't tell me, because I am excited, but also it's a stretch for me. So I think this one's called Sunflower and Ginger and Burgundy. So this will be the main color, and I have contrasting colors. So maybe you can guess what I'm gonna make with it, but I think I'll just wait and tell you when it's cast on. And then I also got some Cascade Heritage, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And it's a fingering base. So that Cascade 220 is heavy DK, light worsted. And I got this to go with my mini skein set that I won from Stephanie with the Fluff Your Stash make along. So I'm gonna make something out of this. But this is gonna be fingering weight. And since I'm already working on the Market Henley, I'm not gonna cast this on until the Market Henley is done. That other project, I will cast on probably when I finish the purse. So, getting close. Yeah, also, eek, I won a prize for Jennilee's Wyoming Knits Scrappy Make-Along. So I'm really excited about that. So that yarn is coming soon. And I'm just really excited. I love prizes. I love getting yarn that then gives you an excuse to buy more yarn, because I like yarn. Anyway, yeah, we will shift a little bit more towards the life chat if you're interested. I'll start with the books that I've been reading with my girls. So I just kind of started sharing that they're 5 and 3. So the ones we've read since I filmed last are The Mouse and the Motorcycle, and they absolutely love that. If the library had, it's a series. So the library doesn't have the second and third ones. So we then shifted to Beezus and Ramona, so 2 Beverly Cleary books, and I think we're like 2/3 of the way through Beezus and Ramona, and I'm not sure. I'll probably do Boxcar Children number 3 after that, because they really like those. But my daughter did say, the 5-year-old said, Boxcar Children was my favorite, but Beezus and Ramona might be now. So they're just really having a blast with bedtime reading. My husband has been reading most of Beezus and Ramona just because of the baby schedule right now. And I'm feeding her a lot of the time while the girls are getting read too. But they're loving it, and they play. I would assume that this is somewhat typical, although I don't specifically remember doing this as a child, but they play the books that they're reading. So like they'll be Beezus and Ramona and play together, or they'll have their baby Ramona that they're taking care of, and they do the same for Boxcar Children. And they're having, it's so fun to listen to them do that. I've read 2 books since I filmed last. The first was Firefly Lane by Kristin Hannah, and oh man, I was like, I like 20% to read the night before it was due. I do this to myself. And like the book, Kristin Hannah, if you're not familiar with her, they're really, really good, but they're also really, really intense and draw your attention to like a theme that needs, you know, needs attention. I don't know, kind of like Jodi Picoult and her books, if you're familiar with her. They have a purpose more than just fiction, right? There's like a theme. So Firefly Lane follows 2 women as they like grow up together. And there's like a lot in that throughout the whole story. There's like a lot of trauma, a lot of relationship things like between them, but then between the other people in their life. Just like any life has a lot, right? And so it's like 20% I can do this, and then that last 20% had like a whole new wrench, like gut-wrenching added layer to it that I was not expecting to be. Then normally, like when I get really emotional in a book, I like to pause and revisit later, but I had to keep reading because it was going to be returned to the library. It was on my phone. And so I was like, I have to read still through all this without time to process it. So I didn't like pick up another book right away after finishing that because I knew like it was emotional. But I did recently read The Amazing Mrs. Pollifax, which is like the second in a series about Mrs. Pollifax. This is by Dorothy Graham. That's not right. Is that right? I can't check for you, I'm sorry. Yes, I can. I have a computer. Yeah, Dorothy Gilman. I don't know why I wrote Graham, except that I had probably wrote Hanagram from that pattern. Dorothy Gilman is the author of the Mrs. Pollifax series, and it's about like an older woman who begins working for the CIA, and it just follows her on her adventures, which are always crazy and ridiculous, very unrealistic, but also quite entertaining. So I finished that, and now I don't know what I'm going to read next. It is the middle of April. We are in full garden prep mode here. We expanded our garden by about double. I think I know it's 150 feet in one direction, in the long direction. I don't know how wide it is in the other direction. Maybe close to 50 feet. Which is much bigger than we've had before. My husband is working really diligently on starting our plants and laying down weed fabric at our garden and getting everything going. He has planted peas and lettuce, garlic, and onions. We have some more onions to plant, some potatoes to plant. We also have broccoli and cabbage to plant, but the cauliflower he also got in. Our strawberries are growing. And our tomatoes are started, our peppers are started. he's working on potting those and like up potting them. They're all in the basement, so getting those into bigger pots so they can grow bigger. And it's time consuming, but it's exciting. In May, he'll participate in a couple local plant sales where he can go and sell his plant starts that he's not going to use in his garden. Yeah, so that is taking a lot of time. We've all gone to the garden to try to do what we can. With a baby, it's a little bit trickier, but I try to be as supportive as I can. I'm really excited. I really want my peas to grow. However, we are really dry here. I know other places have flooding, but we're really dry, and our town specifically is really dry. And we're in town, our garden too. So he has to request like special permission to set up irrigation. So watering the garden right now is kind of a pain, and setting up irrigation will also be quite expensive, but will save us a lot of time. So that's one of the big garden things that we're getting figured out now. Last time I mentioned I started a new job. That's still going well, but it does take quite a bit of my time. So I don't feel like I'll be able to film probably quite as much as I was before. In my time that I do get for myself, I want to be doing crafty things, but then I also want to share them with you. So it's kind of tough, but I'm enjoying just like the productivity of having tasks at work and being able to cross them off and say I've completed them and transition to something new and problem solve that and work through that. It is something that like I don't get the same type of that like satisfaction while raising my 3 girls. I get different things, but not that quite that like completing projects, and knitting projects take so long. So yeah, it's good to feel useful in that way, but I do miss my knitting time. One other thing that I think is fun that we've started recently is a Sunday school class at our church for young families. Basically anybody. We're a small community, so our church is also quite small, and we started a Sunday school group for parents. Essentially, our kids are in different Sunday school classes, and we thought, hey, if we have our own things that we're dealing with raising our children, and it's good to build community with other parents that are in the same spot as us. We also hope to bring in some veteran parents and kind of interview them, but we're also doing a Bible study, so that's really exciting. It's been taking a little bit of our time, but it's all good stuff, and our little ones who are too little for Sunday school get to play while we do our Sunday school. My last, what I could think of today that's a big family update is that the baby is old enough to be sitting at the table and starting to eat now, and it's a lot of fun. It's also a huge mess. I think for me that's one of the hardest stages. Isn't that silly? When they start to be able to move a little bit and they get unhappy faster because they can't move as much as they'd like. I'm about 4 months, 3 or 4 months. That's a tough stage for me. And then this like 6 to 8 months, maybe even longer, we're starting to eat and they get food all over their hair, all over the table, all over the floor, and consume almost no calories from the meal. It's a lot of work. So we do a fair amount of baby-led weaning, but not exclusively. We're kind of like, we try to parent with flexibility. There are very few parenting debates that we are like firm on, and those are you know, we have a few non-negotiables, but how we feed our baby is not one of those. How we follow a sleep schedule is also not really one of those. But we have some things that really work for us, so we like to do those. But yeah, she's also like, you know, getting better at moving around and starting to think about crawling and rolling with intention. She started to figure out how to like alternate her scooting, like to reach one arm forward and then reach the other arm forward and make forward progress. And she's also like, you know, planking and spinning on her tummy and rolling and all the fun things, but it's making me realize how much I need to get my house under control and declutter some things. I have like a pretty good grip on like the daily stuff, but especially with trying to add in work and balancing all that, it's like extra, you know, it's a new routine to figure out. And now we also have a baby that's moving. So there's more stuff to figure out to sort of baby proof. Although I wouldn't really call what I do any intense sort of baby proofing. I parent my children through supervision. I baby proof through supervision. So yeah, I think that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me. I'm happy to be able to share with you what I've been working on, but I'm also really, really eager to continue to make progress on my projects so that I can cast on new things. Thank you so much. Bye.